Well, thank you, folks. We're glad to be here, Brad and Dantzelle Allen, and we're going to talk about scouting fun. And I'll tell you, I grew up in a Boy Scout troop where we did scouting fun every troop meeting, and it was something we looked forward to. In fact, I remembered a game we played called Fat Albert, and it was back in the Bill Cosby days, you know. Anyway, it was crazy, but we always loved it, and we had a lot of fun. Scouts should come away from a scout meeting or activity feeling invigorated and good about themselves and scouting. That's a quote from the seasoned scouter, and I believe they're true. Okay?
Still don't work pointing.
All right. So we want to show you a little video here to give you a vision about the importance of scout game. For what that means. So we've got several learning objectives. We just want to go over these quickly with you, but we need to understand how scouting fun, games, songs, skits can become an integral part of the Scout program and achieve some of these great aims and objectives. Help us develop resilience, inventiveness, and character. So this cute little grandson, this is our grandson Everett, and he is just the cutest little boy Cub Scout you've ever seen. Okay. And Sal, next.
Change back there.
Okay. So we may want to just visit for a minute, but how does scouting fun develop? Resilience, inventiveness, and character. So how does these games actually work? What does it do for the little scout patrol? Any thoughts, any observations?
Builds confidence.
Builds confidence, without question. You saw that in the pictures of the kids. Anything else?
Friendship.
Friendship, yeah. All of a sudden we're doing something with our buddies and our friends and our fellow scouts. Teamwork, oh, thank you. Yeah, Scott, that's such an important one for kids to feel like they're a part of a team. Please.
Problem solving, got to figure out how to make a problem.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? How to solve a problem, how to work together, how to come to the end. All right, you'll see that as we go through this session, we'll get some of that. I love this quote from Babe Powell. He says, boys can see adventure in a dirty old duck puddle. And if the scoutmaster is a boy's man, he can see it too. Okay, and I think that's so true. I don't know, we were on a little trip and all of a sudden the kids were, it was raining in Seattle, we're visiting a zoo, and they're over there just jumping in the puddle of water. And I'm thinking, why did we pay the fee? We should have just jumped in the water, you know, they just had a great time. So, okay, next. Number 2 objective, understand the need for having fun in scouting. These kids love to have fun. They love to do these things, to bring them together. And that we will develop teamwork through scouting. All right, next. Okay, so what are some examples of teamwork? Anybody seen that in your own troop or in your life when you've done something? Did you? How many of you that are current scout leaders actually use games as a part of your troop meetings? Oh, thank you. I hope you will. I hope you'll make it a part of every meeting because you'll begin to find that the teamwork of the boys, the friendship, the working together feeling really comes. Okay, any other examples that you'd like to share? All right, probably shared some of this before, so next slide. All right, it's important to arrange games and competition so that all scouts of the troop can take part. I thought it was interesting for me to think about our scoutmaster, my scoutmaster when I was a boy. He always used to say, we're going to do friendly patrol competition. And there was always the word friendly. You know, because boys can get pretty aggressive where scouts can. I need to change that to scouts. Okay. So we need to be thinking about games that will allow everyone to be a part of it. Number 3, identify ways that the scouts can build knowledge, skills through scouting fun. Picture here the monkey bridge or the archery. Again, many things that these boys do or that the scouts do will be doing it for the first time. So next slide. What are the skills you've seen scouts learn through scouting fun? Have you witnessed any of that? I think it's a pretty simple questions, probably a lot of simple answers, but probably everything we
You
do.
have time. You have two.
Okay, all right?
Ponytail.
Anything that we have seen where skills actually, kids actually learn how to do things.
Comment over there from Roma.
Okay, Roma?
Oh, in our cub band, we have boys, some, their fathers are woodworkers or carpenters or whatever, and they're very familiar with tools. But you'll have others who don't know the difference between a Phillips and a flat screwdriver, and,
Yep.
you know, there's just so many different levels there, and they can really start to develop skills or better them.
Wonderful. Wonderful thought. Please, Lyle.
There's something in the organization called Report to the Nation. And 10 years ago, I'd say 10 of the finest scouts in America were selected to make that report to the nation. And one of them was a Cub Scout in a wheelchair. And so his parents were required to come along to look after and take care of this young man in a wheelchair. And we did away with the parents about day one because all the other scouts grabbed that wheelchair. And you know how many steps there are in Washington DC? They carried that Cub Scout everywhere we went in his wheelchair.
Wow.
I mean, it was heartwarming
Wow.
to see, without any coaxing or direction from the adults.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great story. You know, when you see kids just jump in and do it, you're even a little bit warmed in your heart. Any other thoughts? I couldn't help, okay, Scott?
Even just that little competition where you have to, maybe you have to tie 5 different knots as a patrol or as a team, and whoever does it the quickest, hey, everybody gets that built down, and when they need it next, they'll do it right, you know?
Love it, love it. Couldn't your heart get a little bit warmer when we had the Amtrak train wreck and the scouts just immediately jumped into action? There they were coming back from Philmont. They're in scout uniform. I love it. You know, I remember going through an airport and we were traveling with 240 scouts, and I couldn't help it, but the parents and the leaders and all of us were just in uniform, those that were there, and all the people in the airport would say, "Are you guys really Boy Scouts?" Yeah, we're really Boy Scouts, you know, all of us. And they just loved it, they loved it. So I think it's cool when these kids travel in uniform, and in this case of the Amtrak accident, boom, scouting got a lot of good news out of that. Because scouts just do what they do. They were trained with skills, they jumped in, they did it. How exciting is that? Okay, next slide. All right. Fun, fighting, and feeding. You know, I think it's such a great quote from Big Pal. These are the 3 indispensable elements of the boy's world. A fisherman does not bait his hook with food he likes. He uses the food the fish likes. So it is with you. That's such a great quote, and one that's so true. Okay, next please. Goal number 4, help scouts learn the consequence of their actions and decisions. So it's a simple thing, but next slide, please. Okay, so how is, I guess I've reflected this back on reflection time for this moment. How many of you have used reflection time as a part of a scout meeting or a scout activity? I hope you will. I hope you'll pause and that you'll be able to say, hey, the Uno Patrol won this because, boy, they worked together. Wasn't that great to see the teamwork or the whatever? You know, you can have a great moment in teaching and reinforcing, and that reflection time is so important. And then you might be able to say, what if we would have done something just a little different? And so the boys do pick up on that, and I think the reflection is what I'd like you to consider there. Okay, next slide. A week of camp life is worth 6 months of theoretical teaching in the meeting room. Isn't that true? I used to always think if I could get a kid to scout camp life, it's worth 6 months of meetings, or even a year, quite frankly. So it was very valuable. Most important thing of the year. So, okay, next. Understanding number 5. Understand the power of using scouting fun to allow scouts to challenge themselves. All right, next. So, let's just pause for a moment and say, why is it important for scouts to do hard things?
Well, it's life.
It's life. Scott? Thank
And
you.
you hear, I have lots of family that been mission presidents, you hear things don't go like it does in a church video or any other. And scouts are used to something going wrong and then fixing it.
Yeah.
And so hard things, they can make happy and make memories.
Anybody else have experience? Carla?
One thing that Michelle told my grandson when he went on his mission, and it comes down to this, is when they learn to do hard things, they learn solutions. They learn solutions of how to overcome that and to do, not just do hard things, but what was the solution that we had to have to do the hard thing.
What a great
And
thought.
so she said, Bryson, you never go to your mission president with a problem unless you have a solution, because you're going to be a solver and not a problem maker.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Kimball.
I think confidence, part of the solution, right? You develop incredible confidence that you do after you do something hard.
Yep.
I mean, I could not swim when I was a blazer, and I was deathly afraid of the deep end. We went to the Y as a troop, and boy, did those scoutmasters and the troop work with me all afternoon. And now I love to swim, and I became a really incredible swimmer.
And lifeguard.
Yeah, and lifeguard for my life at the Y. So it was cool. It was.
Now, don't underestimate the impact of what happens to a 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old scout. It's incredible. Mike?
It gives them the opportunity. I always told my wife, it's controlled failure. You give them challenges, they're not always going to be successful, and they're not always going to fail. But you provide them the opportunity, and you provide the coaching when needed, but they, at the end, they see that, oh, I was able to do that.
Yeah.
It's like repelling. You can't, that first time over the edge is a traumatic thing. But if you give them opportunities so that when they're on their own and they have that challenge, that they don't know, they have that thought process. How did I do this before? And it tells them, like he says, confidence, but it gives them the idea that, okay, how I can do this.
I love it. I love it. Okay, just a couple more. Carl?
I always remember, kind of bring it back to the church aspect. So when I came to the Ironic Priesthood Conference on Scouting that I came to several years ago, I can't remember his name now, but it was the Philmont president at the time. He said, the reason why we have scouts do hard things, or we have our young men do hard things, is it turns them to God quickly. So when you get them out on that, those new scouts out on that backpacking trail, they get in a mile in, and they don't think they can go anymore, that's when they turn to God for help.
That's such a great thought. Thank you. Please.
One of the things that mantras that I have is react, don't think about it. Because at this age, 12, 13, 14-year-olds, they think too hard. They think something's hard, they can't do it yet. At a certain point in scouting, we've taught them all the skills that they need to do, right? So don't worry about you can't, don't ever tell me you can't do something. Just do it. You've been taught. What's going to happen is you're going to get in that deep end of the pool thinking that you can't do it, and something in the back of your mind is going to say, I can swim, and you're going to be able to swim.
Love it.
And doing hard things allows them to utilize what they've learned and bring it to the forefront. They just put it in the back empty room somewhere.
I love it, and thank you. And one of the most important things to me is that I had a feeling as a young boy. I came here in 1967. My big scouting experience, other than summer camp, was to come to Philmont Scout Ranch. The council did a council contingent. We loaded up in the Greyhound bus and we headed here. I was telling Kimball and Dantzelle as we drove into Cimarron and we saw that sign. Oh, a flood of memories came back. This little boyhood memories, But we were headed up to Mount Phillips or whatever, and a big storm hit, and there just wasn't any options. You just keep going. And so that built a feeling that I can do hard things. I have the ability to do hard things. In my life, I can do hard things. And if I have any huge concern about the church and scouting and the vacuum that I feel with that is that our boys and our young people are not learning how to do hard things. And so you in this room and others that represent this Vanguard movement, you're so important to us because we're keeping that all alive. And so, anyway.
Can I just
so
add,
please.
so preparing them for missions?
Yeah.
It's not, it's boring. It can be boring, and if they can do hard things, they can do it.
That's right. Good thoughts. Any others before we move on? So I just hope that these little learning objectives, and they're in your book, that you might look at those and say, understand why we do these things and how they work and why it's important to do them, and then reinforce with your reflection time and to complement scouts on an individual basis or as a patrol. So that's it.
Next. Thank you. Baden Powell said, do you want to read that first then?
Sure. Get a hold on youth, you must be their friend.
Thank you. All right, next. All right. Next, we're going to watch a video. It's Charles, of course, and it was at the Duty to God report, National Duty to God report. And if you've not seen the whole talk, you should, but we're going to show you a snippet of it now.
Many of our most effective teaching moments will be unplanned and often inconvenient. But if we are prepared to teach, often the windows of heaven open to give us the inspiration we need to touch the hearts of those we teach. But we must be prepared. 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine indicated that they were on a camp out with their troop. They were sitting around the campfire as it became time to retire. It was just the right time for a soothing and inspiring and reverent song. So my friend, who's the committee chair of that troop, mentioned that to the scoutmaster. My friend then said, "Do you know the song On My Honor?" His friend didn't. Neither did my friend, at least well enough to teach his scouts. The scoutmaster then said, "What about Scout Vespers?" Neither of them knew all of the words well enough to teach it. So they extinguished the fire and went to bed, having missed a wonderful opportunity to teach and touch the hearts of the boys around that campfire through music. As I heard the story, I was tempted to say to my friend, "Look, if you ever get in that bind again, get me on your cell phone, put it on speaker, and I'll take over the music duties." Instead, I took the opportunity to teach my good friend that each leader needs to be prepared for the teaching moment with at least a scout story, a song, a poem, an activity, and a spiritual scoutmaster's minute. Better still, never go to a scouting activity without a small pocket-sized notebook that includes a list of 5 of each of these instant preparation tools. So, if you want to be a better shepherd, be prepared and take advantage of each teaching moment, even if it's inconvenient.
Wow.
I know him.
Who doesn't want to hang out in that cabin with Charles, huh?
Yeah, look at that beautiful
Could
cabin.
you slowly give us that list again? You need a scout.
I would love to give you that list. Next.
Guess what we're gonna do?
Oh, you're already on, okay.
So what did he say? He said to never go to a scouting activity without a small pocket-sized notebook. So Kimball and Paul and Brad, everyone needs one. There's enough for the staff and faculty as well. Okay, next.
Let's take just 1 minute and pass these out.
Tried to sell these to us earlier. I remember that.
Thank you very much.
Wait, you need more purple one? What color is it?
If you wait around, everything goes on.
Everyone's good. How did I miss you all? I'm sorry. I thought maybe I saw Paul.
I got one left. Anybody?
Okay, everybody got it?
One at the back, Paul. Chuck wants one.
Oh, we got one,
Did
Chuck.
you get one, Jimmy?
Everyone's good?
Yep, Jimmy got one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so, Charles told us, your notebook should include a list of 5 of each of these instant preparation tools. Each leader needs to be prepared for the teaching moment with at least, bam, a scout story.
We'll get it going.
Next,
It's right there in your thing.
song, a poem, an activity or a game, a scoutmaster's minute. Okay, get those down.
It's also on the
It's
inside.
on the inside.
Oh, it's on the inside. Forgot.
I was still
I
writing
shouldn't
it
have
down.
glued so long ago, right? All right, next. All right, so let's pick your pocket. I didn't want to do this right now, so next. So I want to go back. Let's go back to the 5, okay? So we're going to have the staff, the faculty help us with those right now. Okay, so go back all the way to us, just to this one. Got it. Okay, a scout story, and I don't see Gary Dollar.
He's carving.
So, yeah.
Move on to the next one.
Okay, go next one. So who's got a, Charles probably have one ready for us in just a second. Hey, a song, Laura Dollar. Kimball.
Yes.
You have a scout song
Oh,
for us?
already?
Yep.
Well,
Sure. Okay, just give one, you know.
I want to grab the book.
Mike has a fun one.
Okay.
Volunteer.
Oh, do it, that's
Yeah, it's a
good.
stand up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is our PFB song.
Okay.
So, you also got, it's also a clap along song. It's also a clap along song. Froggy. Sorry, that was wrong again. Dog. Dog, cat. Dog, cat, bird. Froggy. Itty bitty teeny weeny little bitty froggy. Jump high, catch a fly, sweet little froggy. Fleas and flies are scrumdiddlyumptious. Ribbit, ribbit, croak, ribbit, croak, ribbit, ribbit, croak. Faster. Dog. Dog, cat. Dog, cat, bird. Itty bitty teeny weeny little teeny froggy. Jump high, catch a fly, sweet little froggy. Fleas and flies are scrumdiddlyumptious. Ribbit, ribbit, croak, ribbit, croak, ribbit, ribbit, croak. Jump that speed. I was kidding.
So I would like to tell a scout story. I was thinking about that when Brad was presenting. That I remember we were going to the National Jamboree with the troops, and we were at Palmyra, New York. And as we were, if you've all, a lot of you been there, so you know you have this cabin, Joe Smith, and it kind of goes down and inclining, and kind of go up to the sacred grove. And there were all these scouts walking down to the sacred grove, and as they entered the sacred grove, they took off their hats. That was such a sweet experience. Now, maybe their leaders helped them be prepared to do that, but they learned something that day. And we have the opportunity to do the same thing. Impact their lives for good, for life. Next. Okay, Charles does have a poem for us.
Quit, give up, you're beaten. They shout at me and plead, there's just too much against you now, this time I can't succeed. And as I start to hang my head in front of his face, my downward fall is broken by the memory of a race. I hope refills my weakened will as I recall that scene, for just the thought of that short race rejuvenates my will. A children's race, young men, young boys, how I remember well. Excitement, sure, but also fear. It wasn't hard to tell. Then it's quite a long way. Quit, give up, you're beaten. They still shout in my face. But another voice within me says, get up and move.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Charles, as you know, is a master with forms. so amazing. All right. All right, an activity. Mike, you want to share an activity that you'll do with your troop?
Okay. I changed my plans last second.
Of course.
I was going to tell you about a game called Still the Bacon, which every Scoutmaster should have in their quiver because it's so easy. Just need one thing to play it, and it's a great thing if you have like 5 or 10 minutes to keep the Scouts busy doing something. But from our discussion here, it reminded me of a thing we like to do called Scout Chariot Races. And the Scouts love this. Let's see, here we go. So you have 3 staffs or lashing poles, and then they have to lash them into a triangle shape. Basically, have like 2 square lashes and a diagonal lashing at the top. Then they have to carry a scout around.
So here's a little video of them. Oh yeah, so we also, of course, do this in friendly patrol competition, just like you mentioned. Maybe we're about to say anyway. So they're like racing, trying to get their chariots built. There's the other group over here. And amazingly, so we have our older patrol, half of them are already Eagle Scouts, and they love this activity as much as the younger Scouts. It's really, really fun for all of them. And then once you get it built, you put a Scout on the middle of it. They have to race down the field, around a tree, and come back, and it's just fun to see them do it, and you get to see if they did the lashings right, if they hold up. Anyway, just a great activity to see the boys really have fun together and work together and use Scout skills that we're teaching them.
That is awesome.
That's
Thank
really
you very
cool.
much. Give me a hand.
Thank you, Mike.
Give me a cheer. Okay, you know, I didn't bring my cheer box. Okay, you know the 2,000-pound canary? Okay, get your canary out. Here's your feet, right? Okay, and a big 2,000-pound canary is going to go like this. Chirr, chirr, chirr. Okay, well, we'll get a second next. Okay, I'm trying to think what it is. What's the fifth one? Scoutmaster Minute. Okay, our Matt, would you share a Scoutmaster Minute?
Sure.
Thank you.
May I do two?
Yes. You're the Scoutmaster.
2 minutes?
For 30 seconds.
I want to make one point. The Scoutmaster Minute can be personal, or you can use a resource. I'm going to start with this one, because it's 4th of July, this resource, the Scoutmaster Minute book. I wanted to read this because it's inspiring. The last sentence of the Declaration of Independence reads, "And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." But what kind of men were these who signed the Declaration of Independence? Out of the 56, 24 of them were lawyers, 11 were merchants, 9 were farmers, and large plantation owners. These were men of means, wealthy and well-educated. These men knew what they were doing when they created this document, and they knew what it meant to sign it. They valued liberty enough that they were willing to sacrifice their lives, their wealth, and their honor if necessary. So what happened to these men? 5 were captured by the British and tortured before they died. 12 had their homes ransacked and burned. 2 lost sons while serving in the army, and another 2 men had sons captured. 9 died from wounds or hardships of the Revolutionary War. 8 men had their properties looted. At least 2 of them died penniless and bankrupt. Several lost their wealth and others lost their lives, but each one proved they were men of honor. They showed us that freedom isn't free, and the signers of the Declaration of Independence were among those that paid the price so that we can enjoy liberty today. I wanted to share that because of today and acknowledge their sacrifice and acknowledge the sacrifice that not only the men and women that serve this country, but if we bring it back to scouting, the sacrifice that you're making to be here today, and the sacrifices that you've made before, to see that this movement and that people benefit. The second thing I wanted to share was back to this. Scoutmaster Minute, like I say, can be from a resource or personal. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I am that friend that Charles spoke of in that video. And I wasn't prepared, and some of you were at that campfire that were here. I don't know if you recall that evening. That was me, and I felt unprepared. And it really hit home to me that we need to be ready for that moment before it's gone. In my medical training, that's part of the training. You don't get another moment sometimes. You have to be prepared, and you have to rehearse it, and you have to practice, and you have to repeat. I have to certify every so often in my medical training because you sometimes don't get another chance. And so I want to emphasize that again. If we are prepared, we will have that moment. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right. Are we ready to go?
We are.
Maybe? Okay, great. Okay, so you saw a good example of each of these now. Go ahead. Okay, so let's pick each other's pocket, or everybody up. Oh, it works. All right, so we're going to pick our brains now. So speaking of up, everyone up, right in the back there real quick. Thank you. Go. All right, so go to the next slide if you have a minute. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is, well, I've got the clicker.
You got the clicker.
Yeah. Okay, here's a chance for you to talk to those patrols and put in your notebook 5 stories, okay? 5 stories. Think of some stories, share with each other. Okay, I've told this story. This one's probably the harder one, but you could write a word. If I was going to tell about the Palmyra experience, I'd put Palmyra, Scouts, Jamboree. Give me something to help. So just share some stories, okay? Okay, it should be a lot of talking. You should be together as a patrol. Does that make sense what you're going to do? Your notebook's going to start filling up today, okay? It's going to help you think of some ideas. Thank you. All right, the second one you're going to work on is a song. Okay, list some songs that you could do, okay? You can do that in about a minute. I will have 20 songs. Here we go. So some poems, okay? Some poems. Let's start listing those. Those are going to be a little tougher, but we always have resources. We always Google, you know. Be pretty if you are, be witty if you can, but be happy if it kills you. All right. Now let's start on your games or activities, okay? Get that notebook full. You guys know lots of them. Here's your little arsenal. I have to admit, my notebook, I have a page on my phone with these games and stuff.
Bunny is like.
Just set it down. Don't even know it's there.
We taught,
You should have, you have begun to fill those notebooks, okay? I hope it'll be a blessing in your life. Okay, as you're a scout leader. All right, on your table, we've given each of you a pocket, and we'd like you to very quickly look at it and decide as a patrol what you're going to share with the group. Very quickly, our time, so look at it, and you're going to just very quickly share. We won't have time to do the whole song, or well, we may. Let's see. Okay, Uno Patrol, which one are you going to share with us? Song. Okay, what song would you like to share? Just a very... Okay. We'll give them a second to decide.
You ready?
All right, you guys decided which one you're going to do?
we're doing an activity.
Okay, and you're ready to share with that? Okay. Okay. Faculty, you have some. Okay. Uno Patrol. Here we go. Uno Patrol. Who's going to do it quickly? Whoever's going to do it quickly. There, thank you.
Justin.
Okay, everyone set up. We're going to do a patriotic song. We all know this. We'll sing the first verse, America the Beautiful. Is it in our hymn?
I don't think it is.
Okay. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Give us a hand.
Okay, now what would 4th of July be without watermelon? Get your big watermelon pieces out. Here we go, the watermelon cheer. Thank you. All right. High in the Sky Patrol. Sky High.
High in the sky.
We got a poem.
Okay, we're ready for a poem.
He's going to share a poem that's in a talk that President Monson gave when he was an apostle, 1982, about Run Boy Run. We're not reading the whole talk, just a poem in the talk.
Oh boy. Pamphlet. The tumult and the shouting dies, the captains and the kings depart. Still stands thine ancient sacrifice, a humble and contrite heart. Lord God of hosts, be with us yet, lest we forget, lest we forget. That was by Kipling.
Thank you very much. Okay, you have the watermelon, now you need the cantaloupe, just a little bit smaller. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Tiancum takes, is that? Come on up. What are you doing for us?
Activity.
Activity, great, thank you.
We call this kill hacky sack, or you could call it something nicer. You get the kids around and you teach them that you can never drop the hacky sack to yourself, it's always to someone else. And you hope your kids know how to do it. And you pick a number 2 or 3 or 4 times that you've done it correctly. They kick, they kick. There's 4. Then you can catch it with your hands and everybody runs and you get to hit somebody. If you hit them, then they're out and you play to the end. But if, by the way, they have the chance to catch it. If they catch it, then the guy throwing it is out. And it's a blast. And they like to get me out.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, now you got cantaloupe, but you got to have a southern cantaloupe. So it goes like this, y'all. Okay, here we go. Southern cantaloupe, y'all. Okay. All right, faculty, what do you have for us?
Lyle Knight has it. You're on.
I'm on.
Quickly. Thank you.
Here I come. There is a young Cub Scout whose father is off doing his anesthesiology residency. So his father has been gone for months, and they see each other very seldomly, and the kid really pines for missing his dad. His dad's in another state. So on one weekend when his dad came home, it happened to be the Pinewood Derby weekend. And they wanted to do something together, and said, what a great activity. We'll go to the Cub Scout Pinewood Derby. Here, grab this Pinewood Derby car, and let's take it and have some fun. Well, I get a phone call, and it says, unbelievable, we won the Pinewood Derby. This car did not win in Salt Lake the year before. Billings, a smaller community, but Carl won it. It's a great father-son activity. Do you see any issue with that? Anybody? Brad, you're the pro here. Any issue with that?
No, I let somebody else answer.
Well, they came home and read the rules. Now, the rules say you cannot run a car 2 years in a row. It must be made for that Pinewood Derby. So I get a phone call. I said, well, what should we do? I said, I think you ought to sit down with my grandson and tell him what's happened and let him make a decision. And I got a call back, and my son-in-law said, you'd be so proud of your grandson, because he said, well, of course we can't keep it. We didn't deserve it. We must give the trophy back, that great big Pinewood Derby trophy. Well, you know, it broke our hearts in a sense, but in the other sense, they talked about honesty and what we had taught Cub Scouts, that even us as parents and grandparents have forgotten. That honesty trumps everything.
Love it.
So it was a great Cub Scout honesty story that I would share as a scout.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, get the cutout stamp of approval. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Okay, thank you very much, Brett. I think you're going to take us next. Thanks for all those great ideas, and now we're going to do a round robin.
All right, so for the next few minutes, we're going to let you be participatory. Our leaders that are doing that can now go to their stations.
Okay, just some thoughts. Sometimes you're in the middle of teaching a merit badge, it's kind of dry, you need to get them moving. Just look around, there's things you can do with things there. If there's a garbage can, you can toss a ball into it or whatever. I was just thinking the other day, just what if you brought your stuff in a grocery bag. What are some things you could do with this grocery bag to have fun?
Still a bacon.
Still a bacon, awesome. Blow it up, do a parachute, right? Let them make parachutes if you have several of them. Anything else?
Who can make the loudest noise?
Oh, I like that. There you are. There you are. You could make it in stripes and make some rope out of it.
How many pops can you get?
There you go. There's so many things that you can do. You can make this into a ball, to throw in the garbage can, whatever. But you look around the room and what can we do? Okay? There's always stuff. All right. So this is from the Vanguard letter, and I just think it's worth sharing. Many of the leaders who speak at General Conference are adept storytellers. They seem to find connection in every aspect of their lives. As I read their addresses, I am reminded again how closely aligned the principles of the Scout Oath and Law are to the gospel of Jesus Christ. Since I am usually reading on the Gospel Library app, I have added a tag labeled Scoutmaster's Minutes, where I keep the stories that I think will be appropriate teaching opportunities for the Scouts. The Scouts find the stories interesting and always find the more subtle meanings in the stories, sometimes pulling out meanings that I had even considered. Isn't that great? I thought that was so powerful. So thank you, Bernice Oliver, for sharing that. All right, let's take a few minutes in reflection. Did we have fun today?
Yes.
Okay, what are some things you could do that you could reflect with your youth, your Scouts, in maybe in something today you thought about? Maybe in one of the games or something. Thoughts? Yeah, Michelle.
It reminded me how much fun the boys can have.
Yes.
Sometimes the boys need to be taught, boys and girls, that the quietest voice sometimes have the best ideas when you're doing a game. And so you need to not silence those quiet voices.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you very much. Yes, Carla.
If you don't have something for the boys to do, the boys are going to find something to do. And it's not always what you want them to do.
That's a great reflection. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Treasurer, awesome. Please.
I want to have fun too. When I don't want to be bored, and I like playing games, so that's fun for me.
Thank you. Great thought. Anyone else?
I just think most of them have a device in their pocket nowadays, and if you don't have something to do, then they'll show each other what's funny and what's not.
Absolutely.
Fine, yeah.
You know, my mantra, or whatever you call it, when I taught early morning seminary, I wanted them to come because I wanted to keep them guessing what I'm going to do that day. You know, and so it was so fun because I'm in here, I want to know what's going to go on today. So that kind of same thing. Wouldn't you like that and then to feel that way? All right. Thank you. Any other thoughts? I don't want to squelch anything. All right. I'd like to just share a brief Scoutmaster's Minute as we end up. So we have a grandson, Everett. Brad introduced him. And he's a great Scout. Well, about a year ago, he's 7 years old. He was visiting us in San Diego, the Moore Battalion. But we were trying to get dinner ready, and he has a little sister. And he just helps. He sees what to do. He saw we're getting dinner ready, so he started setting the table. And his little sister needs something. He just started helping. And I said, Everett, thank you for your help. You know, how do you know what to do? And he said to me, you know, like a kid, I don't know. And he says, a Scout helps people at all times. He made the connection. That's what we're trying to do. As we reflect, as we play games, as we teach, as we learn, as we let them lead, we're helping them to make the connection. So thank you. Thank you, leaders. Because we need good leaders and citizens and husbands and wives and mothers and fathers. We need you. So I'm just going to share with you, this is called, when I was first a Cub Scout leader, Brad, did you figure out 45?
45 years ago is the age of this tub.
45 years ago, we had this little, I took this Crisco can, because, and I covered it, you can see, thank you, just, you know, some boys' life pictures and put a little bit of contact paper on it. And I came up with this little ditty. It said, this special little tiny tub is for the hungry den's cubs. Each week a cub his turn will take and bring it full for the den's intake. Thank you, mothers, for helping out. You deserve a big Cub Scout shout. So that was our Cub tub. You just take some, 4th of July in there. And you can see I've carried it around. It doesn't hardly ever fit the treat. But my favorite part was I would take my den chief and he'd stand right by me and the boys would line up and the boys who brought the treat would line up by us. And the den chief, I'd have him ask him, okay, give me, what's the Cub Scout colors? Or, you know, what are you supposed to bring the blue and gold banquet? Or what's the Cub Scout sign? Or whatever. We were teaching them all the time. And that den chief was the leader. And of course, they always had to say thank you to that person who brought the treat. So we're always teaching. So thanks for sharing in my Cub tub today.
And can you believe we saved it for 45 for this very moment?
Through your every move.
I know. Oh. All right, any thoughts or questions you'd like to share?
Don't overlook the fun of scouting.
Don't overlook the fun of scouting. Thank you so much for all that you do. Gosh, you guys are the best in the West. Or wherever you're from, right? Thank you. Brad, do you have any final comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. We're done.